In an effort to spin news that Donald Trump did in fact contract coronavirus, the campaign is trying to make it seem as though it's actually a good thing because Trump now has a lived experience that makes him somehow more qualified than his opponent, Joe Biden, who was actually smart and savvy enough to avoid contracting the virus. Here's Donald Trump's campaign aide making the case on a recent interview on Fox News.
Will we see changed messaging when it comes to the coronavirus, and will it move more to a forefront of the president's messagings and key issues?
Well, firsthand experience is always going to change how someone relates to something that's been happening. The president has coronavirus right now. He is battling it head on as toughly as only President Trump can. And listen, that of course that's going to change the way that he speaks of it, because it'll be a firsthand experience. He has experience as commander in chief. He has experience as a businessman. He has experience now fighting the coronavirus as an individual. Those firsthand experiences, Joe Biden, he doesn't have those.
No, this is actually great news. I think this is fantastic news, and the Biden campaign should immediately re-implement every single negative campaign ad that they had suspended as soon as Donald Trump announced that he did in fact test positive for COVID. Rather than immediately folding and shooting himself in the foot, Biden should continue on with the campaign strategy that he had in the very first place, which was don't ever talk about policy or what you're gonna give people, just talk about how awful Donald Trump is. Why abandon that campaign strategy when Donald Trump's campaign has continued attacking him, even though Donald Trump is stupid enough to contract that virus while he's president of the United States and has every single imaginable resource at the palm of his hands? Okay, so that's point number one. Point number two, 60% of Americans, according to a new CNN poll, disapprove of how Donald Trump has handled coronavirus. That number jumps up to 69% when it comes to female voters. And the numbers are actually incredibly high among elderly voters as well. And remember, that makes up a pretty significant portion of Trump's base.
Yeah, so first of all, I know this is a small thing, but she said he's handling coronavirus and getting better as only Donald Trump can. Why? Like that's such a, you know why that bothered me? Because it makes it sound like people who passed away from coronavirus just weren't as tough as Donald Trump. That's not how disease works. And so, and honestly, I know it's a pet peeve of mine, but it's like when people talking about being really strong in fighting cancer, the people who died from cancer didn't die because they were too mentally weak. And so it's a small thing, but it's grating on the nerves. So, and I know people usually don't mean harm by it. The Trump people probably do mean harm. Oh, he's superhuman. Oh my God, he's amazing. Only Donald Trump could not die from coronavirus. If that's the case, we should all be really, really worried. Anyway, on to the important part here. Anna, you're right. That means that Biden should not do the unilateral disarmament that Democrats are famous for and that he's in the middle of doing. That's why Rebellion PAC stepped in and did a tough ad about Trump, because Biden said he wouldn't. It's ridiculous. So rebellionpac.com, go check that out. But Anna, I'm worried about the opposite. Democrats. I mean, there isn't anything that Republicans do where they don't think like, should we copy that? They're holding a Bible. Why don't we hold a Bible? They say tax cuts. Why don't we say tax cuts? They say bigger spending on defense, even though it makes no sense. Why don't we say it, right? So when they say, Biden doesn't have any firsthand experience with coronavirus, I wouldn't be surprised if Democrats were like, all right, let's give it to Biden and see how it turns out. Now, look, I'm exaggerating. I know they're not going to do that. No one is that preposterously dumb, not even Democratic strategists. But at the same time, I am worried that they're going to try to respond to nonsensical points like that.
No, I'm not worried about what you just mentioned, but I am worried that Biden is going to refuse to change course back to what his strategy was in the first place. Because he's actually, Biden, because of like everything he's emphasized during his campaign, is now backed up into a corner. Because if you're not willing to talk about the fundamental policies that people desperately need right now, like Medicare for all, the Green New Deal, and all of that. And you're just gonna focus on how Donald Trump is the boogeyman, he's awful, he's terrible, I'm the better president, or I'm the better option to be president. Well, what are you gonna do if you're gonna suspend these negative ads? Like, what is left, right? Like, what is left? So I really do think that he needs to change course and not give Donald Trump an inch. This is actually a perfect opportunity for Biden to politicize what's happening with Trump's positive COVID test. Not talk about how great it is, but specifically talk about how Donald Trump is unable to keep the country safe and he's unable to keep his own White House safe from this virus. That's how incompetent he is. But I'm not hearing that messaging from Biden right now.
Yeah, so first of all, he hasn't spent all ads, just the negative ads, so-called, right? But you should always think about it in terms of what would the Republicans do from a political hardball perspective. From a policy perspective, never think about it that way, okay? Unfortunately, the Democrats do it in reverse. When they see Republican policies, they're like, great, let's adopt that. Republican political strategies that help them win all those elections, let's not do that, okay? So what would Republicans do in a similar situation? First of all, Trump hasn't suspended his negative attack ads. So what are we doing unilateral disarmament for? Are you insane? So second of all, do you think Trump would suspend his negative ads if Biden got coronavirus? There's a 0% chance of that, and everyone knows it. Third of all, what Trump would do and what the Republicans would do if Biden got sick was, you see that jackass doesn't know how to responsibly handle coronavirus. We can't have him be president. Donald Trump, on the other hand, is a mega god who never got coronavirus. That's why he's better equipped to handle it. You see how responsible he is. Biden is the most irresponsible, senile guy there is. You know they would say that. Everyone on the planet knows they would say that. But yet the Democrats are like, no, patty cakes, patty cakes, patty. The democracy's on the line. We don't have time for your patty cakes.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.